So Dad and I are going to do a post-wheat harvest, I guess, video about our Fendt Ideal combine. This is the first year of that we've had this thing. This is a 9T. It's a 2023 model we bought at the end of last year. So wheat harvest, we put roughly 50 hours on it, I'd say.
I don't think quite put 50, 40 some hours, I think.
Yeah, so one of the things I did leading up to this video is put on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So if you're not following us there, you're missing out because you might have had your question read today. But asked if anyone had questions. Most of these questions were asked by multiple people multiple times. I just kind of combined them all. So they're not word for word from one individual, but these were the main topics that people were asking us about. First one's kind of a light question. It was, what was Dad's first combine?
My first combine was a 1964E. I think that was what it was, 63 or 64E. Dad bought used in 1966.
That would have been a Gleaner.
Gleaner, yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, how do you like the joystick controls in the field and on the road, and how long did it take to get used to them? So Dad ran the machine all but maybe a couple hours. I think I maybe ran wheat with it an hour or two, so he's definitely got the most experience.
I really like it. Really like it. I got on, it wasn't enough to get onto. The trickiest is going down the road. You kind of got to be slow with moving it. If you kind of grab at the bottom there and don't make any real sharp
Doesn't
move.
it dampen the steering when you're going down the road?
I don't think it does.
Oh.
Maybe it does. It don't seem like it.
So it is a little touchy.
Well, it can be. I know when you're coming out, I come out of the underpass down there, that one field, and pushed the stick forward, and I turned it, and boy, it when I let loose of it, it kind of jolted me there a little bit. So you kind of, after that, you got to get going before you really make a sudden turn with it or something. But I really like it in the field. It's nice. Of course, auto steer, you just hit the button and just sit back, put your legs up on the Harley pegs, and sit back.
Yeah, so this
enjoy the view.
I guess I should mention this machine does have the, what do they call it, Ideal drive, I believe.
Ideal drive.
So we don't have a steering wheel in this combine. This is our first machine like that. And when we were looking at this machine, we actually looked at an 8T that had the Ideal drive. Dad and I went up and drove it because we were both kind of leery about it. We'd both watched Mike Mitchell's videos, and he's talking about how touchy they were. And we went up and drove it, and we really liked it. So I guess it's, firsthand experience.
If I was buying another one, I'd definitely buy it. So far.
With the Ideal drive?
With the Ideal drive so far,
Yeah. I know what little bit I've ran it, just hooking up headers in the yard here, stuff like that, maneuvering around in here, it's a lot easier to do this versus fighting a steering wheel.
It just don't turn very short. Even the steering wheel just doesn't turn short.
That's actually one of the questions, the turning radius of these machines.
Yeah, the turning radius is not very good. I think if it had a little smaller tires in the back, you could get the dish offset a little different, I think. It'd probably turn a little better.
I mean, we have room to come out. There's not flush with the tracks, so.
Well, then you get out past the tracks.
Well, we're not. That's what I'm saying. We're still in the machine a little ways. This has 710s on the back, and I think you can even get 750s on the back, maybe 780s.
I don't know. I mean, they're big tires.
Yeah, but that is one of our complaints, is the turning radius. Now, I didn't think the Gleaner had the greatest turning radius either. I thought our Kloss combines, to me, they felt like almost like a zero-turn lawnmower. You could just spin right around on a dime with them.
Yeah, they turn good. But the Gleaner we worked on it and changed it. It got better, but it's still.
Yeah, so for anyone just joining us for the first time, I guess our previous combines that we've had recently, we traded a S97 Gleaner and a 740 Kloss for this combine. We got rid of the two machines, went down to one machine. And then we also, before that, we had two 740 Kloss combines, and we've had several Kloss combines going back to the early 2000s, and before that was John Deere. And then before that was Gleaner. So what is the machine what you expected?
So far, the first day, no. Had some trouble getting it set. We put different concaves in it, and I guess I mentioned them, Copperhead.
Yep, Copperhead Ag. That's the
Copperhead Ag, and they thought they'd make a difference, and it definitely made a difference. Before we had the originals in it, or the standard, whatever the factory is. had them covered up, made some covers and put over them. And I think it covered it up too much. But the copperhead is supposed to be all around for all crops. So that'd be nice. We won't have to take them out and change them for corn and beans. That'd be nice.
So one thing in the videos, I think there was some confusion. We were offered a chance to run those concaves. That's why we did that. And the factory concaves, we were messing around with different ways to set those. There's small wires, there's round bars. You can alternate how you have those. You can put different cover plates in. There's so many different things you can do with concaves, with the same set of concaves, like the factory ones that come with it. I think that if we really needed to, we could have made those factory concaves do a good job. But when Copperhead said that their concave is a simple snap plate to cover it and one concave did everything, that's what we were kind of looking for. We don't want to have to, even if it's just from small grains in the summer, putting a different concave in and then going to the same one for corn and beans, it's just one less thing we got to do having the Copperheads. How's the fuel consumption compared to the S97 and the 740?
It's a little bit more, but 17 to 20 gallon. If it really, really gets up to 100% power, maybe a little bit over, I did see it like 21.
So that's gallons per hour.
Per hour.
But one thing you got to keep in mind is how many acres per hour are we doing? So the real best way to look at fuel consumption, in my opinion, is gallons per acre.
Yeah. It was running 50-foot head compared to 40-foot, a little faster probably. So it's right there with the gleaner, maybe a little better.
Yeah, I mean, when you start really, when you first look at that gallons per hour, like I know in one of the videos someone commented they could see it on the display and it was like 20 gallons per hour. Well, what you didn't realize is, like you just said, we're covering more a wider swath and going faster. So I think we're getting more efficient use out of that fuel.
Usually it was around 80% power, maybe 90. Get that down wheat, we got it up to, it was up to over 100, a little over 100. I noticed, and down wheat, it's taking a lot of straw.
Right across the road here is probably where you were pulling the most.
That was pulling the most.
We were in a
and
valley.
It was green. It was the green straw. It was tough, but it handled the tough conditions really well. I was surprised.
Yeah. Usually Dad will say on the radio, "It's getting tough. We got to quit," and it got pretty tough when we kept going. So that was pretty nice.
You just have to crank it up a little more. The rotors up, speed them up, and you can just watch your monitor. It'll just keep gradually starting to throw stuff out. Damper it gets, you speed it up a little more. But it did a good job, especially for the corn grains in it, corn sieves in it. But I thought after the last couple of days, the wheat got drier, the straw was drier, and it was cleaning up real good. It was cleaning up good.
That is one thing. This machine is a corn machine, so when you order an Ideal from the factory, you can order it as either a corn or a small grains combine, which would be wheat, basically the stuff they run out west, canola, that kind of stuff, or you can order it as a corn combine. And when you order it as a corn machine, you get different sieves in the back of the machine, which are what clean your sample up. We have corn sieves because we raise more corn and beans than we do wheat. If we really wanted to get a perfect sample, we'd probably have to change at least one of those sieves over to a small grain. But for no more than we're doing, we weren't getting docked or anything. The sample wasn't that bad, so I think it'll work fine. Yeah. So how hard can you push the machine before you start losing crop? I mean, at 100%, did you think you were losing any more than?
I don't know if you can really go by. It seems like it's pretty accurate, I think, but it fluctuates a lot going through the field. But I got out and looked, and it's hard to see it. But there's some wheat out there, but you're going to leave a little bit. What I could look at mainly is after we planted double crops. We got a little rain. In a couple of weeks, you'll see wheat starting to grow, and that can give you an idea of how much you left. And it was really even. I mean, there wasn't a big trail or anything, and it wasn't bad at all. I was surprised. It did a good job. Even in the down stuff, it did a good job. I was surprised.
What is the cost of this machine compared to the competition? So when we bought this machine, we bought a leftover 2023 model, so it was heavily discounted. That's one of the reasons why we went with this machine. If you are ordering them both new, or any of the machines new, and there was no kind of incentive programs or anything, they're all pretty close to the same price. This one might actually be more than the Kloss if you were ordering it today from the factory with no incentives. But like I say, if you look around, I mean, that was one of the reasons why we went with this machine. We were able to get a little bit better bang for our buck as far as size and throughput of machine at the price point we were at. I think it's lunchtime. Let's see what we're going to have today. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with county fairs, but our county fair is going on right now. Well, I love some fair food. It is not the most healthy thing in the world. And we've been out there all week, so we don't have any groceries at the shop at the moment. So I'm here hauling some grain. I'm going to get me a factor meal for lunch. Let's see which one we want. I think we're going to go with a Tex-Mex beef bowl. We got 560 calories of goodness. Two minutes. And we'll have us a warm, healthy, delicious meal. So if you guys are super busy during fair season and would like to get yourself a healthy, warm, delicious meal, use code BFV50 to get 50% off your first box as well as 20% off your next month. Grab that and we'll head to the truck. So we're going to sit here and eat while we're loading out. And again, if you would like to try one of these factor meals, use code BFV to get yourself a 50% discount as well as a 20% discount off your next month. Be a link in the description. Check that out. Really enjoy these factor meals, and they really really make my life a lot simpler. And thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. Oh, hot! But yeah, I would say they're all fairly close in price. I keep hearing people talk about $1 million combines. Well, that's $1 million combine. Why you gotta do this? Why you gotta do that? We did not pay anywhere near $1 million for this combine. I think if you were to order it MSRP, which is a BS number, usually you can probably take 20% off your MSRP, roughly. I think if you were to order it, though, this machine today would probably be in the 8s. Like I said, that's not what we paid for it. We paid substantially less than that. Still too much money, but yeah.
This year, for sure.
Yeah. What do you miss about the other combines that the Ideal doesn't have or doesn't do as good a job of?
So far, we've only run the wheat with it, so I don't know what we'll tell more about at the end of the year. We're in corn and beans.
Yeah.
It's just big, heavy. All big machines are big and heavy. So the gleaner was light. It was nimble, easy to get around.
Well, this one's narrower.
And this is narrow. It's nice going down the road. The tracks are a little, it's so dry. Our ground was so dry and hard. You could feel the tracks in the field. You could feel a little vibration. But it is nice going down the road. You're just a lot narrower.
Yeah, that was one thing.
Biggest thing.
When we said this is the combine we were going with, people would ask, how are you going to get in some of your smaller fields? Well, this is actually 3 or 4 foot narrower than our gleaner because it doesn't have duals. When combines have duals, they're pretty much all the same width. They're all roughly 17.5 feet when they have duals. I really can't think of anything I miss.
No, it's nice cab. It's quiet, really quiet. I think the noisiest thing was maybe the cutter bar seemed a little noisier. Maybe that's what kind of heard.
One thing that would have been nice if we were going with a new cloth that we were kind of pricing this up against. With a new cloth, you can get it to where you don't do anything other than push a button to go from corn to beans. That'd have been kind of nice, but I don't think the changeover on this is very bad at all either, so nothing too major there. Compare this wheat harvest to last wheat harvest. Do you feel you were getting more production out of one higher horsepower machine versus 2 machines? What's your take on it?
Well, definitely the 2 machines probably got a little bit more done.
If you took 2 combines and set them loose in a 100-acre field versus 1 combine in a 100-acre field, they were all already hooked up, everything was at the field, and everybody was at their job, I think the 2 combines would outrun 1 easily.
Oh, definitely. But it freed up.
That never works for us.
Biggest thing, it freed up a man like Brian he's playing double crops. He was right behind me.
Yeah, I had to wait on you the way.
Yeah, so that was really nice. So you got 1 fuel tank instead of 2 fuel tanks. But if it breaks down, you're down. And just hope we get along okay. And so far, so good. So
that was another question we got a lot of at first, was going from 2 machines. What are you going to do when it breaks down? Pre-YouTube, we had been with 1 combine for about 8 years. So we've been in that situation before. I remember one time, one of our Closses, we plugged it really, really bad. Plugged it so bad we bent a rear impeller. We were down a week at that time, and that sucked because it was right in the middle of October. Everybody else was harvesting, and we were sitting there waiting on parts and wrenching on stuff. Not a fun day. But even if that happens this year and we're down a week, first off, we're supposed to have another combine before then. But if we're down a day, there's so many activities that we don't get done in the fall or we have to put off. Like if this combine broke down third week of October, we'd probably just start hauling out of the bin, coursing bins, stuff like that. Would it suck? Yes, but is production going to stop? No. And like I say, for our operation, we don't have the manpower for 2 machines at the moment. Did you have any issues with the combine during wheat?
The only thing the last day over here, where it was down so bad and damp, that evening, I thought I plugged the draper belt quit running the middle one. I thought it kept building up there, but come find out that wasn't the problem. There's a beater in behind that feeds the rotors, and it had sheared a pin for some reason. I run some slugs through it. That wheat was down a little bit, got a little sluggy. I don't know if that pin just over 3 or 4 days just finally give up or what, but sheared that pin and put the pin in it, run it backwards a little bit, cleaned out what was there, and it was fine ever since. I mean, it run fine then. That's the only thing we had, I think.
Oh, well, I kind of already answered this. Why did we choose the Ideal over the Kloss? Like I say, it kind of came down to we were able to find a pretty good deal on a leftover 23 Ideal, and that was not the case in any Klosses. It's basically going to be $100,000 more roughly if we had went with a new Kloss, I think, somewhere in there. So that made a big difference. Why did we get rid of the Gleaner so fast? So we had it 3 years.
His idea.
We had that combine 3 years. Previously, we tried to roll a machine every 3 years. But one of the main reasons, there's the cat you thought died.
Oh, yeah, the dog.
Yeah, we have a barnyard cat named Dog. Anyways, one of the main reasons we got rid of the Gleaner was our Lexion, Kloss Lexion, we were still running. It was definitely due for an upgrade. And we were kind of at the point where, was it going to make more financial sense to take on another combine payment for that Lexion, trade it off and get a different one, or trade them both off and get a bigger combine? It ended up being cheaper for us from a payment standpoint to trade both machines and go to one. So
if we knew what we do now, if we knew it was going to be dry, we wouldn't have traded combines.
we would have kept both of the combines.
The Kloss, I could have put $20,000 in it, which still got a used combine, ain't worth much, but it would still run.
But last fall, that Kloss only ran probably 600 acres.
Yeah, the Gleaner did.
It was broke down most of it.
Yeah, we plugged it up. It had some problems. And
it just had a lot of wear.
The Gleaner did a good job. I really liked the Gleaner. Like I say, it's easy to get around, and I just really liked it, but didn't have the capacity this has got, but this year it had been fine. But anyway, so we'll see how we get along with this.
It does figure that when we got a Gleaner, we'd have 3 of the best corn crops we've ever had. So we were pushing a lot of bushels through that combine. In my opinion, that combine would have done fantastic if you were running an 8-row head.
Yeah.
But we were trying to push more bushels through it than we could. So, are you going to put stock stompers on the corn head? We are. So we have a set of Devastators we'll be putting on that gearing off. That'll actually be one of the videos coming up this next week or two, because our corn's pretty close to. We have some corn that'll probably run here in about 3 or 4 weeks. Would we have done anything different if we knew Ohio Ag was closing up? So that's one of the questions I get often. We got wind of Ohio Ag, which is our AGCO and our Kloss dealer. They sold both products. So when we were pricing this combine and a Kloss combine, it was the same salesman. We got wind that they were going to close their doors around June 1st. We started hearing this rumor, and sure enough, it ended up being true. Ohio Ag is, as of August 31st, I think August 30th is their actual last day. Today is August the 10th. So they only have 20 more days of business and they're done. Would we have done anything different if we'd known they were closing shop?
Well, we wouldn't have bought a combine probably. We maybe kept what we had. But
we kind of know what the future looks like now, and we're not as worried.
Yeah.
But from June till about mid-July, we were pretty concerned and heated. And we weren't the only ones. One of our neighbors bought a combine just like this one. He was in the same boat we were. Yeah, it kind of.
But it looks like everything's going to work out, and our tech that works on this is going to be the same guy, and hopefully the same salesman. So I think everything's going to work out. Might be a little closer for parts to us.
Yeah, there's still,
much,
I don't think there's much finalized yet, but I think there's going to be a parts warehouse 20 miles away roughly. So that'll be our closest dealer then. So that'd be pretty handy. But like I said, hope our salesman gets a job at the new place. I believe we're going to have hopefully have an opportunity for him to keep being our salesman. So that'd be fantastic. You get in this business, you get to know people. Jason Rogers is our Ohio ag salesman. Jason's been coming to our farm since I started farming, really, as a tech and then as a salesman. So, anyways, why didn't you wait until Gleaner released their new T-Series combines? So I believe that's being released this year, from what I understand.
Maybe at the Farm in Progress.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if we'll see it here in a couple of weeks. I didn't get a whole lot of inside information on that T-Series combine. Like, I don't know much about it. One of the things I was fairly positive was going to remain the same on that combine was the auger. Nothing against that turnt auger. I know people think it looks silly. Looks like a little T-Rex arm. That thing moves a lot of grain, and there's a lot less moving parts to it. I didn't mind that at all. The only limitation with that style auger is you can only get so long because you're so tall. It's a very tall auger when it goes up in the air, and I was basically informed that auger was going to remain the same. Now that told me one thing, that it would not be able to run a 50-foot head, and that led me to believe that the combine itself wouldn't really be any bigger. I don't know that. Maybe it is bigger, but we wanted to be able to run a 50-foot head or have the option to, going from 2 to 1 machines, so that kind of ruled it out for now. Now, if they did something different, would you go back to a Gleaner?
Oh, price and things, maybe. I don't know how this will work out. It depends, just, I don't know. Yeah. To make it any bigger, I don't know, they had to put a bigger, longer rotor, and it's so wide now. I don't know how they can do it. I'm sure somebody figured it out, but, I'll tell you the first thing combine I would buy, if something new, would be if you had the unloader on both sides. If somebody figured that out, they would sell a lot of combines.
There's got to be a reason they don't want to.
Well, it's parts. I mean, it's expensive, but boy, that'd sure be nice. Breaking through a long field, you got to stop, turn around, or unload, make a place to unload, and maybe someday.
Do you feel at home in this cab? Is it comfortable, and do you have any complaints with it?
No, I like the cab. It's a nice cab, big, it's quiet. I mean, you can hardly hear that engine. I mean, you got to look at your monitor, see if it's pulling down. That's an MAN engine, man. Same as on our tractors, and that's one heck of a good engine. Got a lot of low end torque. Of course, it revs up, 1900, something like that. And it doesn't use that much fuel, but it's quiet. Like I say, the whole machine's quiet. And that cab, it's a nice cab.
Really like the I call them the man engine. I know they say MANN or whatever. Our Fendt tractor's sitting right behind you guys. And first time I ever drove one of those, I was planting wheat, I believe, and I went down a hill, and I thought the tractor shut off. They're just really quiet machines. And this one's no different. That cab is also the same cab as on our Gleaner. So I think a couple of the joystick controls are different, but other than that, it's basically the exact same cab. So as far as feeling at home, the joystick feels the same. The only thing that's different is there's no steering wheel. And this one has an actual refrigerator.
Yeah, that works good. And the biggest thing, I know a lot of people don't hear Brian say it anymore, it has a power ladder. The ladder is the same thing. It's a power ladder.
Well,
only the bottom folds up too. So it's still a power ladder, same button up there and everything.
It doesn't have a sticker that says equipped with power ladder like the Gleaner.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically the exact same cab. They did put a couple little shelves behind you. I don't know, they kind of seem like they tried to copy Case IH there, in my opinion, but they don't hold much. That's really the only difference, isn't it?
Yeah. It's some of them's got more room behind the seat, but
I mean, between this one and the Gleaner.
Yeah. I don't know if that's any better, but it's a nice cab. It's quiet. It's a quiet cab and clean. It stays clean. I mean, the dust doesn't come through.
Without that steering wheel, you have so much more visibility.
Oh,
Like, I didn't
yeah.
think it'd be that noticeable till I ran it.
Yeah, you ain't leaning forward. The bad part, and they all got it, is the monitors there. It's got 3 monitors, 2 you get, and I'm gonna move one around or something, but you can't see real good there. But outside of that, why it's a great view. Don't have that steering wheel wrestling around. Now, going down the road, you're a little touchy, and you want to put your seatbelt on because something stops you real quick. You're going to be the first one to go through that window.
Should always wear your seatbelt when you're going down the road.
Yeah.
And we're all guilty of not doing it, but a few years ago, there's a farmer named Matt Griggs. He's also on YouTube. He went through the windshield of a combine and darn near got killed, so it happened to any of them. But there's nothing holding you in this one if you have to stop. I mean, you're right against the window. And those windows break a lot easier than you'd think. Has there been any upgrades to this combine versus the first models like we demoed in 2018? Yes. We probably would, actually, we would not have bought a previous model Ideal because of a few factors. The 8T that we looked at before we found this one was actually a 2022 that had never been sold yet. It was heavily discounted, very attractive price. But that was the previous model Ideal combine, and what I didn't like about it, which was kind of a deal breaker for me, was the auger. This auger is very tall. It is as tall or taller than our Kloss combines or the Kloss combine that we demoed. There's not much chance of you getting a grain cart into that auger. The 22 is extremely flat, and we ran a 22 Ideal T7 or 7T or Class 7, and we got that auger into our grain cart.
When it folded back, the arc was much lower. And that's what gets you in the grain cart you got to watch.
And then I think there was a few other subtle changes, but that was one of the big ones for me. I seen that flat auger as being a problem. We don't have enough flat ground that it wouldn't be at some point.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of changes because they've had a lot of trouble. And one thing as big was that Mike had trouble with was coming out, getting the stuff out the back of the rotors, but they put a diffuser back there supposed to help him. So far, I think it's helped.
Yep, but that was all the questions I had. So do you have anything else you want to add? Keep in mind, we only have 50 hours in this machine.
Yeah, I don't know if we got 40 hours on it, really, because I never looked. There was 100 hours on when we got it separator.
Yeah. So this was a demo machine from, this actually came from a Ziegler location in either southern Minnesota or northern Iowa, I believe. But
I know somebody, one of the other videos he had out, last one he had out, somebody commented, I know, why the lights weren't on. I didn't have all the lights on. That last night, it was so dim. Well, I had them all on. Come find out, the top ones, there's 6 up there, they were covered with about a 1/4 inch of black dust. It wouldn't penetrate through there. That's what was wrong. I never seen wheat as dusty as it was this year with black dust, and we didn't have any rain. Usually you get a lot of rain, you get black, but boy, black mold, what it was. Boy, just one round, it was just, the windows were just covered.
The mirrors were useless.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst as far as...
I'd never seen it that dusty, and it didn't look like it going through the field that bad, but boy, it just, 20 feet and everything's covered. It was just,
you can clean your windows off every day.
Oh.
And when we brought the combine in here that night, we got to looking, and that was the only thing we could figure, because he did have every light on that you could turn on. So hopefully that was it. We will be finding out soon, because like I say, we're going to be starting corn harvest probably in 4 weeks, probably right after Farm Progress Show. Like I said, this is August the 10th. We are still kind of in some dry weather. We have been getting some later rains. Been pretty fortunate there, but our corn is unfortunately cooked. Most of it is made already. Some of the later stuff maybe not quite, but we're definitely not going to be able to take full advantage of the capacity of this machine this year without running in road gear.
Yeah, that's for sure. And one thing we got to hopefully get it working, and it didn't work. We didn't even try it because they said it didn't work. The automation part of it. So we're hoping we can get that to working in the corn and beans, because in the corn it's going to be 100 feet of nothing and 100 feet of good stuff, pretty good stuff. So hopefully I think we get that working and helps us there.
I'd say in some of our fields you're going to see anywhere from 0 bushels per acre to 200 bushels an acre, and that might be within 100 yards of each other. It's just you can see in aerial view every piece of gravel ground we have, like every gravel vein through a field, because it's dry.
Somebody asked about, I seen one your comment about why we don't pull a head behind, like the one up that hill over there, head behind the combine. It does have a hitch on it, but our tongue on our trailer's not long enough. And if it was, I think you said the auger would get it in the reel, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't do it. I mean, we don't have to move that far. If we was going 30 miles, we might do that, make something so we could. You say anything about the head?
Well, this was our first experience with a honeybee head. I mean, any head with a sharp sickle will cut wheat. So, I mean, really, I don't know how to compare it for wheat.
Well,
it did great.
It did great. The header control was on the wheels. It was neat. In the back, gauge wheels was pretty neat. They was a little slow reacting. I don't know if we could have helped, but I know the fellow was down here. Remember Jason was?
Honeybee rep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was down there like 3 days and helped us make sure, got it going and everything. And I'm anxious to see how it does in soybeans. It looks like the header control looks real good. See how it's going to flex. But yeah, it worked fine. It's simple. It's all mechanical drive. So I'm looking forward to see how it does in soybeans.
Yeah, that'll be the big tell. I think in double crops, if they stay as short as they are now, we're definitely going to have some issues getting this in the head. That was one of the questions: are we going to put a query system on it? Wanted to try it a year without, just to see how we did. But if we get into that situation, maybe that's something we'll address. I don't know. We'll see. I like the head so far quite a bit. It's also one of the lightest weight 50-foot heads. That makes it.
It's lighter, but
it's well built.
It's well built. Seems like it's air and everything controlled from the cab. That's nice. So I think it'll work.
How did you like having 50 feet versus 40?
Well, it I don't know. It was okay. I mean, the combine handled it. That's it. Some places you kind of watch. That's what some of our places we're going to have to probably cut half of it, go back, get it again. Some uneven places, but even with a 40-foot, sometimes you have to do that. The combine handled it good. The straw down wheat. So we'll see how it does in beans. Green stem beans. We might have them this year. We haven't had them for a while, but
Depends on if we keep getting these late rains.
if it starts to rain, I think the beans probably some of them will take a second growth, and they'll be green, and there'll be dry beans, there'll be green pods, green stems. So I don't know if that happened or not, but so far we ain't getting any rain. But like we got an inch the other day. That's the first inch we've had for I don't know how many months. But anyway, the corn head, we got a gearing off corn head. We was going to keep the old one, and we'd had to buy a conversion kit, and we talked about it, and they give a good deal on it. So
if we know what we know now, we probably would have kept our Capello. There was nothing really wrong with that head. We had issues with it, but I think a lot of those were related to how that head hooked up to our gleaner combine.
Yeah.
I think on this combine, it probably would have been fine.
But we got to work on it. We got to put the Devastators on, and I think we got a corn reel.
We do have a corn reel for a folding corn head, so stay tuned for that.
So I don't know how that works. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll go over that when we do that install. But those are the things coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, harvest is getting close. Also, if you guys want to stop and say hi, we will be at Farm Progress Show Tuesday and Wednesday, and probably a little bit Thursday. I believe Wednesday we're at the AGCO booth. Maybe it's Tuesday. I don't know. One of those days we're at the AGCO booth for a few hours. Stop, say hi, and you can pick our brain about this combine in person. But thanks for watching, everybody. If you would do us a favor and thumbs up the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we will see you in the next video.